Margaret and William Carter were the picture-perfect couple. They lived in a charming Victorian house in the quaint town of Willow Creek. Margaret, with her honey blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, was the embodiment of grace. William, tall and broad-shouldered, exuded confidence and charm. Their lives seemed idyllic to the outside world, but beneath the surface lay a web of unspoken desires. Margaret often found herself alone in the evenings. William, an ambitious lawyer, worked long hours, and while she understood his commitment to their future, the silence in their home felt deafening. On one such evening, Margaret attended an art exhibit at the local gallery. She had always loved art but rarely indulged in her passion. As she admired a painting of a serene countryside, she felt a presence beside her. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a deep voice said. Margaret turned to find herself face to face with James Holloway, a local artist known for his enigmatic personality. His dark eyes held a spark of intrigue, and his warm smile was disarming. "Yes," Margaret replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's breathtaking." James and Margaret fell into an effortless conversation about art, life, and dreams. For the first time in years, Margaret felt seen and heard. When she returned home that night, her thoughts lingered on James's laughter and the way his eyes seemed to understand her deepest feelings. Weeks passed, and Margaret found herself frequenting the gallery more often. James was always there, eager to share his world with her. They talked about everything: his inspirations, her unfulfilled dreams, and the emptiness she felt despite her seemingly perfect life. "Margaret," James said one afternoon, "you have so much passion inside you. Why do you hide it?" She looked away, the weight of her unhappiness pressing down on her. "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe I've forgotten how to be myself." James reached for her hand. "You deserve to be happy," he said softly. "To feel alive." Margaret's heart raced. She knew she was treading dangerous waters, but she couldn't resist the pull James had on her. Their friendship deepened, and with each stolen moment, Margaret's guilt grew. William began to notice subtle changes in Margaret. She seemed distracted, her laughter came less easily, and she avoided his gaze. One evening, he confronted her. "Is something wrong, Margaret?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Margaret forced a smile. "No, of course not. Just tired, I suppose." But William wasn't convinced. He hired a private investigator to follow Margaret, a decision born out of fear and love. What he discovered shattered him. The investigator provided photographs of Margaret and James walking hand in hand, their smiles a painful contrast to the growing distance in William's marriage. One stormy night, William waited for Margaret in the living room. She entered, her coat damp from the rain, and froze when she saw the fury in his eyes. "We need to talk," William said, his voice trembling with restrained anger. Margaret sat down, her heart pounding. "What is it?" she asked, though she already knew. William threw the photographs on the table. "Is this what you've been doing while I've been working late to provide for us?" Tears welled up in Margaret's eyes. "William, How could you?" he interrupted. "Was I not enough for you?" Margaret broke down. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I never meant for this to happen. I was lonely, William. So lonely." William's anger gave way to sadness. "Why didn't you talk to me?" he asked, his voice breaking. "We could have fixed this." Margaret ended her relationship with James, realizing that while he had awakened something within her, it wasn't worth destroying her marriage. She and William began therapy, confronting their issues and rediscovering the love that had brought them together. Months later, as they stood together at the edge of a cliff overlooking the ocean, William took Margaret's hand. "I forgive you," he said, "but we have to move forward together." Margaret nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I promise, William. No more secrets." The road to healing was long and fraught with challenges, but they faced it together, determined to rebuild their marriage on a foundation of honesty and love. Margaret and William's story became a testament to the power of forgiveness and the resilience of love. They learned that unspoken desires could be dangerous, but with open communication and commitment, even the deepest wounds could heal.